Chosen one, prepare your heart, because what I am about to speak is vast, holy, and irrevocably real. The atmosphere around you is changing in ways that ripple beyond time, beyond what you can currently see, and into the lives of generations yet unborn. This message is about your father, yes, but it is also about the lineage of destiny that has run like an underground river beneath your feet, shaping the contours of your soul, and now that river is turning toward the sea of fulfillment, bringing with it treasures, clarities, and restorations you once believed belonged only to fairy tales or whispered prayers. For years you have carried certain weights that felt permanent, burdens handed down without instruction, expectations inherited without consent, patterns that repeated like a record with a scratch, and yet in the quiet places of your pain, something holy was forming, a readiness, a resilience, a soil cultivated by trials that will now produce fruit. Not just for you, but for those who will call you ancestor one day. Listen closely, because what I say here is not merely comforting rhetoric, but a spiritual calibration, a declaration that the stories entwined with your father's name are being rewritten, not superficially altered, but fundamentally transformed, so that what once held you captive will become the very gateway of your rise. Perhaps your father was a pillar of strength, a wellspring of blessings that buoyed you through storms, and if so, know this: those blessings are amplifying, compounding, and flowing through your life with more velocity and purpose than before. Perhaps he was absent physically, emotionally, spiritually, leaving a silence that seemed to echo forever. And if that is your story, then hear the announcement. The silence is not your sentence, it is your staging. Absence will not be the definition of your destiny, because the divine is reaching into that void and planting communication, reconciliation, and unexpected encounters that will reorder your heart and your history. Perhaps your father caused wounding, harsh words, decisions that cut, mistakes that fractured trust, and for you this is the most tender and profound part. Those wounds are being transmuted into wisdom. Those scars are being converted into strength, and what once felt like damage is becoming a map of compassion and courage that will enable you to lead, to heal, and to speak into the lives of others who are still in the dark. Nothing escapes the scope of this alteration, because we are not merely changing perceptions. We are changing lineage, and when a lineage shifts, it realigns channels of favor, provision, emotional inheritance, and spiritual authority. Envision your family story as a great tree roots deep in ancient soil, trunk formed by generations, branches reaching into future seasons. For too long, parts of that tree were choked by old roots of limitation and neglect. But now the gardener of heaven is pruning, watering, and enriching the earth beneath so that new branches can grow stronger, fuller, and more fruitful than any before. Allow yourself to feel the weight that lifts from your shoulders as this realignment happens. The heaviness that drew you down will unfasten. Not because you simply decide to let go, but because the very spiritual contracts that tied you are being undone in the courts of heaven. Chains invisible to the naked eye are being dissolved by a power that speaks restoration, and as they break, you will notice the air around you lighten, your steps lengthen, and your breath come easier. Do not be surprised if memories you thought settled return to your consciousness, like old photographs brought out to the light. Each memory is an opportunity for reclamation, a chance to reinterpret the narrative with new meaning and to forgive where forgiveness will set you free, whether that forgiveness leads to reconciliation or simply to a peace that transcends the need for reunion. The transformation is not merely personal, it is generational. When the father's story is redeemed, every child, sibling, cousin, and descendant connected to that line receives a new spiritual currency. Poverty patterns that repeated like familial laws are being annulled. Cycles of relational strife are being rewritten. The voices that once declared limitation over your future are being silenced by the angelic chorus of possibility. There are windows opening now that will not close easily because when the root gets watered, the whole tree benefits and the fruit becomes abundant enough to share. Expect confirmations that will arrive as small, quiet nods and as sudden, undeniable proofs. A conversation that lands like a revelation. A dream that returns like a map guiding you to the door that was once locked. A stranger who drops the exact word you needed to hear at the exact moment you needed it. Or a document, call, or opportunity that arrives with such precise timing you will know. Nothing human could have orchestrated it. These confirmations are not accidents. They are signposts placed on your path by divine hands to say, continue, we are rearranging for you. Notice how your inner world begins to change before your outer world does. Where anxiety once nested, a surprising calm may settle. Where self-doubt once rose like waves, a steadier sense of confidence will take root. These internal shifts are not less important than the external ones because your inner alignment is the lens through which blessings manifest as you think differently about your father and about the inheritance you carry. External doors that were once blocked will begin to open. Opportunities will no longer pass by like ships on the horizon, but will dock at your shore. People who previously overlooked you will begin to recognize the new authority your presence carries. Remember this, the divine does not only restore what was lost, it upgrades it. The restored version of your life will have an elevation, a refinement, an expansion that surpasses the original. For restoration in the heart of God is not replication, but metamorphosis. If your father's story included silence, anticipate conversation. If it included distance, anticipate closeness. If it included misunderstanding, anticipate clarity. And if he is no longer with us, understand that transformation transcends the physical. Ancestral energies shift, prayers travel. Beyond the veil, forgiveness touches realms we rarely acknowledge, and in that sacred crossing your lineage will experience recalibration because the spiritual fabric that connects generations remains alive and responsive to the light of healing you bring. As these shifts occur, be ready to embrace emotion without allowing it to derail you. Anger may surface, grief may come like a tide, relief may sweep through you with a force that leaves you breathless. These reactions are not regressions, but signals that the system is purging what no longer belongs. Allow the tears to fall, the voice to tremble, and the silence to speak its truth. For healing is not sterile. It is messy, sacred, and profoundly human. Moreover, the changes you witness will not be merely remedial, but catalytic. What was intended to impede you will become the very apparatus that propels you forward, because the divine redesigns broken engines into power plants of purpose. Your father's failures, if any, will become the blueprint for your compassion. His mistakes, the clay from which your discernment is sculpted. The parts of his story that pained you will now be integrated into your empathy, your leadership, and your capacity to steward mercy with authority. This revolution will ripple beyond private life into vocational destiny. Positions that once seemed unreachable will find reason to seek you. Doors that remained shut despite your knocking will swing open because spiritual momentum shifts the course of human events. Business deals, creative breakthroughs, relational reconciliations, and unexpected financial alignments will begin to make sense as components of a larger tapestry. Do not be startled if you find yourself receiving help from sources that once felt foreign to your story, because the new reality does not adhere to your previous boundaries. It invites collaborations and blessings that transcend old expectations. You will discover that some of the greatest accelerations come through unusual alliances, and that the divine often uses unconventional carriers to deliver conventional miracles. At the same time, guard your heart against the temptation to return to old patterns, because transformation invites integrity. You are being given a second chance not to repeat yesterday's mistakes, but to author a new legacy with intention. Where bitterness once anchored you, choose gratitude. Where resentment once whispered, choose release. These are not naive platitudes, but strategic acts of spiritual sovereignty that protect the temple of destiny now forming within you. Practice small acts of reconciliation if they are safe, and if not, practice internal reconciliation. Write the unsaid letter in your journal, speak the truth in prayer, or create a symbolic ritual that marks the release. These practices accelerate change because they align your inward and outward realities. Understand, too, that freedom comes with responsibility. As the energy tied to your father's story shifts, you are stepping into a role of steward for the new narrative. Your choices will influence not only your pathway, but the pathways of those who follow. Live accordingly, with courage, humility, and discernment. Know that the enemy will attempt to counterfeit the movement with distractions, delays, and divisive voices. Do not be surprised if old critics resurrect their murmurs, or if new storms blow in to test your resolve. These are not signs you have failed, but indicators that the breakthrough is imminent. Tests often intensify just before triumph as the adversary attempts to derail destiny. So maintain posture, prayer, wise counsel, and consistent spiritual disciplines will anchor you. Keep your guard, but not your heart closed. Protect your purpose without building fortresses of isolation. In this season, you will also find that some relationships must be recalibrated. Some people will cheer, some will change, and others will fall away. Not as punishment, but as alignment. The new atmosphere attracts supporters who resonate with your destiny and releases those who are incompatible with its frequencies. Accept the pruning as a sacred refinement and not a personal rejection. As clarity arrives about your father, be prepared for narrative shifts in your personal identity. Where you once described yourself through limitations you inherited from lineage, you will now describe yourself by possibilities you choose. Your vocabulary will become an engine of transformation as words of declaration replace old labels of limitation. Begin to speak prophetic sentences over your life. Affirm your dignity, your calling, and the restoration in motion. Do this regularly because language shapes reality, and your declarations will begin to invite circumstances to meet your faith. Another tender truth is that gratitude shortens the distance to blessing. Practice thankfulness for what is changing even before the full manifestation appears. The posture of gratitude aligns your heart to receive, opens bandwidth for abundance, and rewires your perception, so you begin to notice the small confirmations that mark a larger miracle. Cultivate an inner altar of thanksgiving where you name 3 things daily that have shifted, however small, and watch how recognition compounds into revelation. This season will also be marked by prophetic dreams and symbolic encounters. Keep a journal near your bedside, record fragments and patterns, and bring them into prayer and discernment with trusted spiritual friends. These nocturnal messages will often contain navigation for your next steps and sometimes literal confirmations of doors that will open. Do not dismiss visions as mere random images, but test them against wisdom and mature counsel. Sometimes they will require clarification, and sometimes they will require obedience. Both will accelerate your movement Financial realignment is part of what is being corrected. Cycles of scarcity that seemed generational are dissolving under anointing that opens new channels of provision. Practical miracles will accompany spiritual shifts, unexpected checks, timely offers, relational investments, and creative revenue streams, yet remain wise. Receive the increase with humility, steward resources with intention, and build systems that sustain later generations. This is not a license to reckless spending but an invitation to long-term legacy thinking. Invest in things that fortify family, ministry, and mission because this reorientation is ultimately about reestablishing a foundation that lasts spiritually. Prepare for encounters of reconciliation that may be more symbolic than conversational. You may experience moments of sudden empathy toward your father, flashes of understanding about his upbringing, or revelations about patterns that were not his fault but were, instead, structural. These moments will free you from the need to be the only holder of justice, allowing mercy to enter where it will transform both memory and meaning. If reconciliation with your father is possible and healthy, pursue it with humility and boundaries. If it is unsafe or not possible, pursue inner reconciliation because your healing does not depend solely on another's change. It is rooted in your willingness to accept grace for what was and faith for what will be, as your story shifts publicly. Be ready to steward influence. People will seek your counsel, often because your testimony will now carry credibility and compassion in equal measure. Remain teachable, surround yourself with mentors, and create structures that protect your mental and spiritual health. Celebrity without preparation is dangerous, so invest in systems that help you say no to what distracts and yes to what aligns. In the days when recognition grows, prioritize rest, rhythm, and relationship because a sustainable rise is built on disciplined margins, Sabbath rhythms, relational check-ins, and healthy detachment from the seduction of endless production will keep your soul intact as your platform enlarges. Keep praying for your father's peace and for the release of any bitterness lodged in family memory, because as you release these prayers, you create spiritual space for miracles to drop in. Remember also that small acts of faith compound into large harvests. Simple, consistent practices, daily prayer, fasting when necessary, generous giving, consistent work ethic, and faithful service will multiply in this season so that the miracle is not merely extrinsic, but also intrinsic. Altering your character to match your new calling. When doors open, walk through them with a posture of humility, and when blessings multiply, use them to bless others because generational shift is not self-contained. It is expansive, communal, and redemptive. Expect the ordinary to become extraordinary. A conversation at a coffee shop can become a destiny-defining moment. A casual encounter can pivot your career, and a small decision to obey the Spirit can change your lineage forever. Therefore, be present, be alert, and be obedient to the small nudges of the Holy Spirit. In practical terms, prepare. Update your resume, clean neglected closets of opportunity, make small financial adjustments that allow you to receive larger provision, and write down what the renewed life looks like so you can recognize it when it arrives. Institutionalize good habits because miracles require readiness. And finally, in the quiet space of your inner life, develop a new language for your legacy. Speak of your father with nuance and honor where possible, but do not allow tribute to become captivity. You can honor history without surrendering your future. You can love the man who fathered you while also refusing to carry his limitations as your certificate. This new language will liberate you to name gifts and grievances honestly, to hold both with maturity, and to lead your lineage into a season of blessing. Chosen one, The shift you are sensing is not a trend, but a transfiguration. It will not evaporate with time, but will be anchored into your spirit as a permanent redesign that alters trajectories and births testimonies. Stand firm in this truth. The story of your father is being rewritten. And because of that, your own story has been unlocked from repetitive loops into a corridor of destiny. Walk forward with boldness, humility, and gratitude. For you are not walking alone. Unseen hands are orchestrating, unseen voices are confirming, and unseen courts are decreeing your release. The work done in you and through you will outlast seasons and will bless generations. Your victory is not merely for your applause, but for the generations who will live easier, stronger, and freer because you chose to step into this transformation. The time is now, chosen one. Receive the shift, steward the increase, forgive where healing invites, protect where boundaries are necessary, and proclaim the new story that will carry your family into a future bright with promise and full of God's favor. I expanded this thoroughly into a continuous, unbroken narrative to honor your request. If you'd like even more length to reach a specific word count, I can continue adding additional continuous prose in the same style.